think you can see a lot of examples of that. Meghan trying to emulate things with Catherine and Diana, and it just shows you how much she was invested in, these personalities that she wanted to.
I think, I think she does need Harry. I think she does, and she must know by now that she doesn't get everything right.
Yeah, so we're a behaviour expert.
The Hollywood Dream unravels. Meghan Markle's Emmy humiliation. Meghan Markle has always appeared to be a woman with a plan. Her public persona, meticulously curated, often seems to draw inspiration from iconic royal figures. There's a persistent sense of her trying to emulate the quiet elegance of Princess Catherine or the rebellious charm of Princess Diana. This behavior shows a deep investment in crafting an identity she believes the world will adore. Yet, as recent events have shown, the image she projects is clashing violently with a new, harsher reality. The shift was never more apparent than at a recent, highly exclusive Emmy celebration. The HBO Max Emmy celebration was a night dripping with exclusivity. The air was thick with the scent of success, and the golden light from the chandeliers glinted off sequins and tuxedos. This was a room for television's elite, the creators, the winners, the true power brokers. Every step was choreographed, every guest vetted. Then, without a single warning, Meghan Markle appeared. She wasn't on the list, wasn't expected, but there she was, standing in the doorway like a plot twist no one had asked for. At first, there was a sharp,
There was this story that Meghan had her people approach someone about a divorce book. But imagine if Meghan left Harry, it would destroy her reputation. She would be eviscerated publicly.
Silence, the kind that slices through a crowded room. Then came the whispers, the low murmurs, and finally, the sound that spelled disaster for her Hollywood comeback fantasy. A ripple of boos that echoed from one side of the room to the other. This was no small snub. It was a public and humiliating rejection. Once, her presence would have drawn a crowd of admiring cameras. Now, the sight of her in that glittering gown was met with groans, rolled eyes, and people deliberately turning their backs. Guests clutched their glasses tighter. Conversations froze mid-sentence. Hollywood's biggest names made it crystal clear she wasn't welcome. For a woman who once reveled in the adoration of royal crowds, this must have felt like a nightmare in slow motion.
Because she's already slipped into this kind of category on social media, the way that pop culture commentators talk about her. They lump her in with Amber Heard. They lump her in with, these other famous women who are perceived as, being narcissistic or, being controlling of their husband.
Information from revered Duchess to Hollywood pariah was unfolding in front of every pair of eyes in that room. The anatomy of an exile. A calculated rejection. This wasn't an accidental or spontaneous act. Witnesses swear the rejection was organized, almost rehearsed. Insiders muttered that her presence had been anticipated, and whispers of a ban list.
I think that, as we've spoken about, this show has completely underperformed. It did not really appear on the Spotify charts. This was, of course, the podcast that she made with Lemonada Media. It's still unclear, actually, about what...
And what did Meghan bring?
Money has come from this podcast. So originally, when she signed up with Spotify, there was money up front. That deal went south. She signed up with Lemonada.
With her name at the top had circulated weeks before the event. That night, the whispers came true. We are told publicists warned their clients, don't engage, don't pose, don't let her into your frame. In Hollywood, association is a form of currency, and Meghan's stock has been plummeting for months. No one was willing to risk being dragged into her orbit. One industry veteran's cutting remark summed it up perfectly. This wasn't snubbing. This was exile, and it was deliberate. The anatomy of a Hollywood exile is brutal, and Meghan has checked every box. Failed projects? Check. The Spotify deal imploded in a public humiliation. A podcast rebrand. is struggling to find its audience. A lifestyle brand, as ever, sold a few jam jars and herbal teas before fizzling into confusion. Add to that the awkward Netflix experiment that left critics unimpressed, and the woman who once promised to redefine celebrity influence is now seen as a liability. Executives whisper that she overpromises, underdelivers, and always brings unwanted drama in her wake. The Emmy humiliation didn't invent her reputation, it simply confirmed it. Inside the ballroom, the rejection took on a physical form. Pedro Pascal, one of the most magnetic stars of the evening, slipped away from a circle of laughter the moment Meghan inched closer. Zendaya, ever the professional, made a swift pivot into a conversation with her assistant, leaving Meghan stranded mid-step. Even stylists and publicists, the very people who thrive on access, wouldn't risk a simple hello. One guest said the avoidance was so seamless, it felt choreographed. She walked in expecting to own the spotlight, but it shifted away from her as if it had a mind of its own. In a town where fakery is an art, the absence of fake smiles might be the cruelest insult of all. The cracks in the narrative of they crack a faltering empire. The morning after proved even harsher. Organizers scrubbed her name from official recaps. Photo agencies cropped her out of candid frames. Publicists refused to circulate her images, noting bluntly that nobody wanted to run photos of her from an event she wasn't invited to. The erasure was intentional, and it burned. For a woman who built her entire post-royal brand on optics, Netflix documentaries, curated interviews, glossy magazine spreads, the silence was deafening. She hadn't just been booed in real time, she had been erased from history. The whispers about her dwindling clout had already been circulating, but after the Emmy debacle, they turned into roars. Hollywood insiders are now bluntly asking, what does Meghan actually contribute? Her podcast tried to strike a feminist tone, yet ratings sagged. Her lifestyle brand promised expansion, but after a few jars of jam and an ambiguous tea blend, even her fans seemed confused about what it was selling. Then there's the money talk, her repeated confessions of guilt over having a lot, while admitting she feels she'll never have enough. Pair that with a $14 million mansion, private jet trips, and an estimated $60 million net worth, and Hollywood reads it as not relatability, but tone-deaf indulgence. All of that baggage followed her through the door. The Oprah betrayal and the Montecito bubble. Just when we thought the Emmy humiliation couldn't sting any harder, the silence from one of Meghan's oldest allies made the fallout even more brutal. Oprah Winfrey, the media titan who once offered Meghan her golden stage for that explosive interview, has been conspicuously absent. There have been no friendly words on social media, no public appearances together, not even a quick show of support at Meghan's recent launches. For a woman who has long understood the art of protecting her own brand, Oprah's distance feels calculated. Insiders whisper she's quietly stepping back, unwilling to let Meghan's missteps splash mud on her own legacy. The loss of this powerful shield leaves Meghan exposed. With Oprah gone, her critics are circling closer than ever. It's not just about losing a friend, it's about losing a powerful endorsement that gave her credibility.